behind of this archaeological area there is located the famous Domus Aurea, the golden house of the Emperor Nero. You know, as I explained to you before, Nero, after the fire of the 64 AD, decided to build a very important residence for himself, the Golden House of Nero. It was called the Golden House because it was completely decorated with gold and also precious painter inside. All around you. Also, the graffiti is another problem of Rome. Especially this area is full of graffiti, and this is a shame because we are not far from the Colosseum and the Roman Forum. But take a look, for instance, now this walls is full of graffiti. So unfortunately the city is full. We do have also graffiti nearby the area of the Roman University.
Yeah, they shouldn't do that.
They should clean everything. The problem is that we have also graffiti over the trains, so they are very, very bad. And then we have is a very, very nice place, and is also one of the richest in the world. You will see only this afternoon why it's considered one of the richest, because of the works of art that you have inside, and also all the precious materials that you have at the Vatican City State, not only inside of St. Peter Basilica but also inside of the Vatican Museum, that is one of the most important museums in Europe for the collection, the private collection of aim to build a church on the side as it would snow the following day. Of course, only a miracle could be, because it was the night in between the 5th and the 6th of August, and normally in Rome we have more than 100 Fahrenheit. But the day after, the Pope woke up and he found the snow, so he decided to build the church, and the church was dedicated to our Virgin Mary of the Snow. Then in the Renaissance time, the Pope Sixtus IV decided to rebuild the church, a new church over the old one. And now the shape, the inside of this church is the inside built in the 1500. The main facade was built later, at the end of the 1600s, so we can say that the facade is a Baroque facade, and it was projected by an artist called Ferdinando Fuga. So this is the biggest one dedicated to the Virgin Lady. Inside we do have also the funerary monument of Gian Lorenzo Bernini, the main architect of the Baroque age. And inside of this church there is also a chapel that is called the Sistine Chapel. This is just to let you know that in Rome we don't have only one Sistine Chapel, but two Sistine Chapels. The very first one, that is the one that we will see this afternoon, and then there is the second Sistine Chapel, that is a small chapel built by a wish of the Pope Sixtus V, that is located inside of the Basilica of St. Mary the Major. So now if you take a look on your left, you will see the Basilica, and then you have the Basilica of St. Mary the Major. Then there is this street that is called Via Merulana, the street ahead of us, that is a street built by a wish of the Pope Sixtus V in the 1600, in order to link the Basilica of St. Mary the Major to the Basilica of St. John in the Lateran, that is at the very end, at the far end of this street. Then we do have, you will see also now, as soon as we pass the traffic light, that right in front of the Basilica there is located a Corinthian column coming from the Basilica of Massenzio that we have seen before. And on top of this column there is a statue representing the Virgin Mary and Jesus. Because the Basilica was built on your left hand side, the Basilica of St. Mary the Major, the Basilica was built after a very important council, the Council of Ephesus, who proclaimed the Virgin Mary the Mother of Jesus Christ. You're going to see the facade now. As I told you, the facade was built later. It's a Baroque facade. And then you have the balcony. As soon as we get closer, you will be able to see also the mosaics that are located into the balcony. We are talking about very, very important mosaics built in the 12th century AD by an artist called Filippo Rosutti. And the mosaics show to us the miracle of the snow falling. The mosaics are very, very nice. Also inside of the basilica, on the main altar, there is a very important mosaic, another one made by Jacopo Torriti. So the three best artists for the mosaics art were Torriti, then you have Cavallini and also Rosutti. Anyway, the best moment for the mosaic art in Italy and in Roma, because all of them were Roman artists, was in the 12th century after Christ. Then you're going to see the bell tower as well, that is the highest of Rome, and the bell tower too was built in the 12th century AD. But take a look to the columns. So this is a Corinthian column. We recognize that is a Corinthian column for the decoration of the column. And then on top you have the Virgin Mary with this baby, because the church was built after the famous Council of Ephesus. This basilica is a typical basilica composed by three naves. There is the central naves and then two, one to the right and another one to the left, the main altar, and also the transept with the famous mosaic. You're going to see that there are two palaces, one to the right and one to the left, that were built by a wish of a pope. The one to the right by Paul V is written on the palace, and the other one to the left by a wish of Benedictus XIV. Anyway, both of the palaces were built in the 1700s, so after the main facade. Inside there is also the Holy Door, because this is a basilica, and also this basilica belongs to the Vatican City-State. It's not technically part of Italy. Is as soon as you pass this, as soon as you get inside of the basilica, you will be in another country. This is something very strange, I know, but anyway, in Rome, you have to remember that each time that you pass the borderline of the Vatican, you will be in the Vatican. And take a look, you have the symbol of the Vatican City-State is just ahead of us. So you have the coat of arms of the Pope. Then you have the two keys and the tiara. The tiara is the hat of the Pope. This is the symbol of the Vatican City-State. On the flag of the Vatican, you have the flag that is yellow and white. Then you have the two keys and the tiara. That is the hat of the Pope. On your right, this busy street is a very, very famous street dedicated to Gioberti. It's famous because it's the closest street to the Termini station. Can you see at the end of this street there is the station that was built in the 1900s. So the architect was one of the architects of Benito Mussolini, and is the main railway station of Rome. Only at the Termini station you can change the line for the subway, for instance, if you want to change from line. Second tallest obelisk of Rome, brought by Agrippa. The original position of the obelisk that you will see in St. Peter's Square was in the middle of the circus of Agrippina, the place where Peter has been crucified upside down. It was a circus like the Circus Maximus, and in the middle there was a huge obelisk just to decorate it. the Suburra. This area was the Suburra in ancient Rome. It was a very, very dangerous place, full of very strange restaurants. It was not a very nice place to go. It was a bad district. And this is the place where Julius Caesar was born. So now it's a little bit difficult to pass with a big bus. It's not an easy job to be a driver in Rome, because all the roads are very, very small. And then you have cars everywhere. So for this reason too, it's difficult. Anyway, now we are driving up and down, so you can understand me better when I talk about the 7 hills of this city. You have seen the Palatine Hill, you have seen also the Aventine, you have seen also the Esquiline Hill. That was the hill where the Basilica of St. Mary the Major is located. And then you have seen also the Capitol Hill, the hill where the mayor of the city stayed. Now you know that we have a new mayor. To the martyrs and the angels. Take a look on your right at the far end. And then this white building on your right is the Palace of the Exposition, and the Palace of the Exposition was built in the 1878 by Pio Piacentini, the father of the main architect of Benito Mussolini. Then all those buildings were built at the end of the 1800s. For instance, this palace that I really like. This is a palace very important. It's the palace of the Bank of Italy, and it was projected by Gaetano Koch in the last part of the 1800s. And not far from here we have the Quirinale Palace on your right. The Quirinale Palace, you should be able to see, is the place where the President of Italy lives. Is the Quirinale Palace. Originally the palace was the summer residence of the popes, then it became the residence of the kings of Italy, but now is the place where the President lives. At the bus you have the Trajan column. You can see better these twisty columns that is it's like a movie showing the military campaign of the Emperor Trajan. On top of the column now you have the statue of St. Peter. Of course, the statue was added only in the 1600s, in the Baroque age. So a lot of work of art were done during the Baroque age in the 1600s. We can say that the 60% of Rome was built in the 1600s, the great Baroque age. And the three main artists for the Baroque age, were Bernini and Borromini. Bernini, Gian Lorenzo Bernini, the famous artist of the Baroque, that was the same one who projected St. Peter Square with the beautiful colonnades, and Bernini is also the same one who projected the fountains. Oh my God! I don't know why. Again, the palace, the monument dedicated to Victor Emmanuel II. On your right, Via del Corso, this is the main street for shopping. At the far end of Via del Corso there is a beautiful square that is called the People Square. The People Square was built under Napoleon, and it was projected by Roma. The ambulance could arrive after 45 minutes. So if you have an emergency, no way. In my opinion, this is another problem. So that's the reason why my family decided to move from Rome and to live in a place that is smaller. Of course, Civitavecchia is smaller, but maybe for the quality of the life is better. Because everything is in Rome, as I told you. The Pope is in Rome, the Prime Minister is in Rome, the President of Italy is in Rome, all the universities, all the best hospitals of Italy, so everything is centralized in Rome, and we do have also a lot of job opportunities in Rome, but not outside of Rome. We do have a lot of unemployers in southern Italy, for instance. Ignazio of the Loyola. The church was built in the 1500, and now we are along the Victor Emmanuel II Street. The street as well was dedicated to the first king of Italy, Victor Emmanuel II, and very soon you will see the place where Julius Caesar has been assassinated in the 44. There is a very nice and important archaeological area that the archaeologists are used to call with the 4 letters, Temple A, B, C, and D. And then behind of the Temple C, there was the Curia Pompei. The Curia Pompei, the place where Julius Caesar has been assassinated. Then his body was transferred into the Roman Fora, and as I explained to you before, the body was cremated. Take a look. The archaeological area is on your left. There was also a temple dedicated to the goddess Fortune. And the Curia Pompei was located on the side where now you have a theater, on your left-hand side, the White Theater. Not far from here, you have the Trevi Fountain, the famous Fountain of the Witch, one of the most popular fountain in Rome. You know, this is a city with a lot of fountains, but the Trevi Fountain is for sure the most famous one, because according to tradition, if you toss a coin inside of the fountain, probably you will come back again to Rome. Then you have the Pantheon as well, not far from here, but you need to get off the bus. You know, you need to walk. Also, to walk in Rome is very, very nice to see everything. And then along this street there is a nice palace on your right. We call this palace the Palazzo Massimo. Palazzo Massimo with the columns, built by an artist, Baldassare Peruzzi, at the end of the 1400. And if you proceed on that way, you have Navona Square, the very, very famous Navona Square. The White Palace on your left-hand side is the Supreme Court of the Vatican. So also this building belonged to the Vatican, and I
smell it. Something. Crazy out here right now. Oh my God.
These guys are great.
Huh? Is that Parmigiano? This is our little Italian restaurant. Got the Christmas tree up. Got it downstairs to the bathroom. What?
Your backpack?
I should have told him.
There's not anything there.
Okay, so we got the pasta dish that you see in the pictures first, and we're like, okay, that's nice lunch. And then this comes out. Oh my God, how am I going to eat this?
These potatoes are so good.
Are they? Alright. Force me. So we just got finished eating that 10-course meal at the Oprah. That little restaurant, which was really good. Just a little hole in the wall. Unbelievable Italian. Okay, I'm gonna get a nap.
Was it in Denmark? In Denmark, you just take them and you ride them and then you leave them.
Yeah.
Just leave them wherever. They were going to try there. We have like this really pretty park area and stuff, and they were talking about trying that.
No, nap, no. No. Now we are going to start the real tour. We are going to visit the Vatican City State. Okay, we will enjoy a lovely nap only on the way back. Okay, only after 4:30. But probably today we'll finish our tour, I think, at 4:45. Okay, we will end up the tour in St. Peter's Square, maybe into the Vatican souvenir shop, where you will have a little bit of free time. So if you want to do shopping, you can do that, but if you want to simply take, there is located the famous San Angelo Castle. So the as soon as we pass the traffic light, you will see this big complex coming up on your right. Remember that the original name of the castle, of the San Angelo Castle, was the mausoleum of the Emperor Adrian. So we are talking about a funerary monument, a mausoleum, a real mausoleum, that was built by the family of the Emperor Adrian in the 135. Then the name of the mausoleum changed into a castle after a miracle, another miracle that took place in Rome in the Middle Age. So according to tradition, the Pope Gregory was doing a solemn procession when an angel appeared in a dream, and the angel was able to stop a terrible plague that was devastating the city of Rome. The name of the angel was the Archangel Michael. And then the Pope Gregory decided to change the name of the building, and from the mausoleum of Adrian it became the San Angelo Castle. So now inside of the castle there is a museum, National Museum of Art, and in the past, in the Renaissance time and also in the Middle Age, the castle was also the secret residence of the popes. You will see that the San Angelo Castle is not far from the Vatican City State, so the popes could take refuge inside of this lovely castle. The castle is also very well connected to the Vatican City State thanks to a waltz that is called passetto. Passetto means short passage. So when the popes were in danger, they they could reach the San Angelo Castle in only 5 minutes running. And the passetto connects the San Angelo Castle to the palaces of the Pope, to the famous 70, dedicated to Victor Emmanuel II, the king, the first king of Italy. But take a look on your right. You have the famous Bridge of the Angels, projected by Gian Lorenzo Bernini, and you're going to see 10 angels with the symbol of the Passion of Jesus Christ. In front, the San Angelo Castle, and on the upper part of the castle, there is the statue representing the Archangel Michael. The statue is in bronze, and it was added only in the 1800s. That is a street built by a wish of Benito Mussolini, dedicated to the famous Lateran Treaty. Take a look on your left quickly. This is the main facade of St. Peter Basilica. Then you have the dome projected by Michelangelo. Don't worry, because we will come back here at the end of our tour. But let's talk a little bit more about the Vatican City-State. So the walls ahead of us is the Passetto, and it belongs to the Vatican. Take a look on your right. You have the San Angelo Castle, and on your left the Apostolical Palaces, the private residence of the Pope. So the Vatican, as I told you, is a country. But when the Vatican has been proclaimed a country? Only in the 1929, after the Lateran Treaty, a very important agreement that was signed between the Pope and the Prime Minister Benito Mussolini. The Pope at that time was the Pope Pius XI, and then you have the Prime Minister again, Benito Mussolini. So the Vatican is, as I told you, a lot of artists and architects worked in order to build St. Peter Basilica and also the Vatican Museum. But it has been proclaimed a country only in the 1929. And also the street that we just crossed before, the Conciliation Street, was built, it was completed in the 1950 and is dedicated to the famous Lateran Treaty. It was projected by Piacentini, again the famous architect of Benito Mussolini. It's a triumphal street which link we can say the other bank of the Tiber to the Vatican City-State. Before of the 1929, over the Conciliation Street, there was a district, an entire district that was completely destroyed. So Mussolini, he didn't care, and he destroyed lots of palaces to build up a triumphal street called the Conciliation Street. And now we are going to see another point of view of the Vatican. This is the Vatican Museum from the outside. As I told you, we will see just the second floor today, because we don't have enough time to see all the museum. To see all the museum, you need at least I would say 3 days, okay, to see all the museum. And I hope that you are ready to enjoy this tour. So please, now I would like to check the radius, okay, before to start. Yep.
In what Michelangelo is holding on his hands. You can see very well. On his left hand, Michelangelo is holding a chisel. On his right hand, a penna. What does it mean? That it means Michelangelo artistically was born, grew up, and died as a sculptor. So this afternoon, sculptor will also be example. But I want just to remind you that once inside St. Peter Basilica, what you're going to see, La Pietà, the Pietà, as a sculptor. And then once inside the museums, we are going to appreciate him as architect, the Dome. So as a sculptor, as a painter, and as architect. Then if you like to appreciate Michelangelo as a special designer, once in St. Peter, in the church, you can see the three soldiers. At the entrance, not the three soldiers, at the entrance regular the Italians, not Swiss. They're the Swiss soldiers, they love the uniform. So you can appreciate Michelangelo as a special designer, because according to tradition, what tradition says, the uniform was designed by Michelangelo. Okay, listen, let's cross all together. We go straight in.
Wow. Yeah, the Egyptian Museum. Huh? An Egyptian Museum. See that? Oh, good. Look at this little.
Michelangelo's dome. So if you have to have the best view of the dome, it's not from the Peter, we end up from the top. So we end up in St. Peter's.
Yeah.
Why you enjoy the facade of the church? But the view of the dome is from the dome. And regarding books, regarding souvenirs, regarding stamps, regarding purchases, is so done at the end. The one that is it. At the end of the visit, in St. Petersburg, you have the same stuff. The same books, the same souvenirs. So at the end of the visit, before boarding, before meeting our friend, the survivor, for the bus, so summing up to like the
Okay, good. Michelangelo Dome. Where?
Okay, number two. Okay, this way. You can enjoy the gardens, public gardens, the Vatican gardens. That's the Vatican territory. So that's where we are. We are inside the Vatican state. As you know, the Vatican is not Italy. It's not Italian territory. It's Vatican territory. It's church territory. It's Pope's territory. Pope's has the full territory. Since 1939. So that's where the Vatican State was born.
That pine cone goes back to 19-something BC. Uh-oh. I'm losing them.
That planet
The outer one's the cosmos. Inner one's us.
This sphere, that throughout the centuries has been the symbol of perfection harmony, such a perfection, such harmony are gone. There's not exist anymore in us, not us. So that's the celebration. Now, once inside the chapel, not everything is Michelangelo. Not all frescoes is Michelangelo himself. Michelangelo himself is the ceiling and the judgment. That's the ceiling and the judgment. That is Michelangelo in the 30s, Michelangelo in the 60s. But at the very beginning, when Michelangelo was a kid, when Michelangelo was a boy, 8 years old, Many painters, look here how many names. Among them Botticelli. Many painters, what they did, they covered up the walls of the chapel. So once it's the chapel, facing the altar, you can see you have an altar. So that is a repression. Facing the altar left, inside is Moses' life. Right is Kilowatts. The Bible or the New Testament. But that's been done before Michelangelo. I said Michelangelo those days was 8 years old. Now, the most, from a religious political point of view, the most important scenes of along the walls is this one here. It means what's called the handing of the keys. It means Jesus appointing Peter as his own successor. Peter, you're my rock. All this rock, I'm going to be my church. Peter, take about my flock. So that's the way to recognize Peter. With the keys, is a symbol to open or to close the gate to heaven, paradise, and to recognize your success in the voice. You can see all over, you can see the keys. So that's what we are going to see keys of the afternoon. It's a gallery, it's a St. Peter. So that's for nobles, for families, for guardians, was a sign of to be Irish, distinguished, to have on the shelves of their libraries books and buttons. So that's the reason. Okay, now
It's a good thing to cut off the head.
Stop there. So I'm going to build, to strangle the library here. Let's come close up. The statue is very old, the statue in real age. That one. Meanwhile, right at the left, you can see two huge coffins, caskets, enormous ones.
Start taking your pictures.
You can take them. Where the two caskets, the two sarcophagi, the roof, are the original resting places of two ladies, two women. Two women, not common women. Right? The mother of the first Christian emperor,
Constantine's wife.
She died in 335.
335. Wow.
She died in
340.
no more bones, no more ashes. But that's where he used to rest. Helen and Constance. Constance is mother Constance.
Helen
The two
and
sphinx
Constance.
that you have right and left, and then where the statue. That's the Egyptian word. That's not the fact. The two statues. This is what the Sphinx means. The first step of the Bia. If you have to represent this side, not to look at the body. So that's the conqueror, that's the white So that's the statues, the statues come from his house, from his palace. Not in Rome, in Pisa. Okay, those things from back is going from, where can we go upstairs?
We can picture the
block, one single piece. That looks like a huge cup, like a glass, of marble, a crater. That's called the correct crater. And that is coming not from Rome, and it's coming from the Etruscan places, Etruscan tombs. Because on that section that is close, we're close to the museum. It means you have tens and tens of rooms filled up with what? With the remains coming from the tombs of them, of the Etruscans. Etruscans used to be a population living between Rome and Florence, nowadays Tuscany. And that's the one. But our direction is not my back, our direction is ahead of us. And ahead of us we have several galleries. E che varianti? the most efficient aspects coming from Athens. Mother Earth, Mother Nature, fertility. Left is the classical, is the Greek Artemis. Can you see? The Antres.
Did your flash turn off?
The hairstyle, the haircut, very fashionable, very trendy, very uppish. At the end of the first century, that's this lady. So this lady reminds us the hairstyle, the beautiful ladies at the end of the first century. Meanwhile, for the boys, look at the apostles, and that looks like the apostles haircut. So straight hair. That is another style. You can see the photo from the whole Toscana here. So already said that's the way they say that's me. Left. Right like the little Jupiter with the thunderbolt, and then you know these such statues are come from where? From the graves of the children along the Appian Way. Representing them at the beautiful moment of their children. So the children that is there. There is the one who can so that's the name of this guy. In the focus of this gallery, is the past of the year 1908. 1908, yes, 1908, 20th century. That one. After 20 years, 25 years of duty, was on duty 25 years. But you know, John Musa was even longer, 27 years of duty. And that is one of the columns, that's one of the milestone. That's when the milestone coming along the Roman roads. Can you see that says, looks like a book. That's the 5th mile along the Roman roads. So that's the original one. This one goes back to the time of the Valerio, that is at the time of the 4th century. That's the original, coming from the Roman roads. Okay, now let's leave here. Let's move to another gallery, the people, continue to that was a few minutes moving. Is the City Gallery. So that's the age of this gallery. 1789. 1789. That's the age of this gallery. Itself building the wall, the floor, and the ceiling. What the ceiling wanted to know. Meanwhile, what is hanging along the walls is much, much older. Because as you come in, on your left, what we have? You have the Flemish tapestries, woven in Brussels in 1525. And there's a big alive. You see in front of us with the nativity. That's the nativity, the birth of Jesus. Okay, let's move this way. We have the nativity, the birth of Jesus, no flashes. Left, second one is the Magi, the wise men of the 3 kings. It's very well. This is then it will go on the other 1525 Brussels. Meanwhile, please stay around me this way. Where the windows are, you have tapestries, but woven not far away, on the spot in Rome, by a local school. Please come closer, stay around. Woven in Rome by a local school. In this local school, this local workshop, it was financed, was patronized by the family. Please take the photos. Moldova. is the bees, it means Barberini family. The family of the 5 cardinals, it's the 5 cardinals, but when the 5 cardinals succeed in becoming Paul, which one? Him, at the moment, Maffeo Barberini, that as a name as a cardinal, is receiving the head, it's cardinal's head. But the next one, it's not anymore the head, it's the crown, as a Pope. So it's a candidaria, Chicaria, church career. As a cardinal, as a Pope. And once died this good little
It looks presidential.
It's not.
Nowadays, popes, they don't wear anymore the crown. But that's been the symbol of papacy for the centuries. The crown has been abolished, has been put aside during the 70s of the last century. But in 1970, that's the symbol of the papacy, the crown. What are doing the other ones? The other ones, they're counting, not money, they're counting ballots before burning down. And please, the same thing, the 3 pieces. Is the killing, sending Jesus resurrection. Walls of Jerusalem. Foreground, we have Jesus' tomb. And Jesus is coming out from the darkness of his tomb into the lightness of the day. Now, passing by Jesus, don't miss Jesus' eyes. But don't miss Jesus' tombstone. You see the tombstone is lying down on the ground. Which way, which direction? Toward us. Now, as we keep moving, as we keep walking, the tombstone moves, rotates. Follow us to the car. History, not in church history, Roman history, that's the death season, that's the famous Ides so much, you know? The assassination of the martyr Caesar, 15 March 44. Okay, now let's leave the gallery of the Christian. Let's enter another wonderful gallery, different period, another different pope. We began with Leo, now we are leaving Pius, we'll be entering Gregory the 13th gallery, the Gregorian calendar. Remind you something. So that's the Pope's gallery. Gregory the 13th. After this.
Oh my God. Wow. Goodness gracious, look up. Oh my
The
God.
maps are the maps what? The maps not to the left, Europe stands for what? Western side. Wedge.
Can you get any on the top? My God. Look at that. Look how far down.
I know, look, I'm trying to get it.
Oh yeah, good. Take another one.
What?
Take some more of it. It's beautiful. Excuse me.
I ate a lot on this ship.
Listen, Chris Camena.
There's Moses.
Sara, che ora ci abbiamo? Ok, please be so kind. Sono le 3. Please be so kind. Stand one side. on both sides. Not in front of the place is okay, just not in front. So we need a space for the other one, Remember to stay here, please come closer, both sides. So, if you find the wall, please stay, don't leave, don't pass the way out. You make a break and promise to switch off some enjoy yourself.
Just the center one, and then there is on the other. Picture of this one coming out of the so it'll be good from the bottom up. Can you turn around the video? Can you turn it upside down, video? I got a good portion of it. They're in there. Where the hell is it? Oh my goodness. What's that from? Supposed to drink out of that? People drink in that?
It's holy water.
Special entrance for St. Peter opens. Where is it? Every how many minutes?
25 years.
Oh. I only said minutes. It only opens once every 25 years. Next time is 2025. Whoa, look out, Tasha. Let's catch up, we're losing it. I've lost reception.
Without a flash.
Very nice. Wow, beautiful. Where is it? Nice.
Huh?
Nice. Because nobody was there. Oh my goodness. I don't know where he is.
These are all the...
I know it. Where is he?
She's so massive.
What is this? Do we get blessed?
Huh?
Do you get blessed if you go there?
You might burn on them.
I have no idea. I know, but it's getting stronger, so he must be in front of us. Somewhere. Maybe not. Goodness. Tasha. It's pretty with the light coming through. Look up there, Tasha. Get married in there.
Now, in order to get the torta, the chocolate, the torta, what do you need? More than money, you need a good and correct connection. You have the good and correct one. What does it mean, the good and correct? High level connection.
Yeah, political.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's all political. You got to give a lot of money to the church. That's what it is.
No, he just said more than just money.
Well, those people have. But those people have money. I can't believe those are all mosaics.
I know.
I thought they were all paintings. Can you?
I did too.
I wouldn't even
copies.
taking pictures. Yeah, copies of the paintings.
Yeah.
That's why they said you could use flash in here because they're tiles. There must be a zillion. Oh, they're redoing it?
No, they're putting up the nativity scene.
Oh, nativity scene. Because Christmas is coming.
Why would you open up so you can... Loss. Sorry, you just have CNN.
Huh?
He said he only has CNN.
The Pope gives a special blessing.
The Pope sees CNN?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not good. You got to get him changed over to Fox. He's going to be negative watching that stuff. Tasha, when we get down there, we'll take a picture of it. All right?
So those are the ones that you saw.
What are they? Jesters?
2 hours, you have to change the guard. 7 in the morning, 7 in the evening. Now, the uniform.
They're Swiss soldiers.
Swiss soldiers? No wonder they don't fight. You look like that, you can't fight.
You're right.
tell these jokers to get out of the way?
Now, 20 years later, 1527, the individual water
Zoom in a little bit.
What?
She's running after him for some reason. Oh wow. It's pretty cool. Here's where the Pope comes out.
On top, with the car, on top of the facade, you have Jesus. I have put one answer my wife.
Bernini Colonnade.
That's are the boundaries of the Vatican. It's still inside the Vatican State. There are many buildings that you see outside these boundaries. Are church buildings, but in tiny territory. So that's correctly the boundaries of the colonnade.
It's not that cold.
One of them is where the Vatican Store is.
There's gelato for you.
Now, before leaving States, we like to have as a whole everything. We like to enjoy the facade, the dome, the Sistine Chapel. It doesn't have any chimney, you can see very well the roof. The building with the triangle shape with the antenna. That's the Sistine Chapel. If you like to see the obelisk, the Christmas tree at the moment, the Pope's apartments, take your shot from here. Just reminding that such a space stands. The church as a mother embraces everybody. The church as a mother opens her arms to every man which goes to the way. So that's the message of these statues of apostles, prophets, the office of the church by all the New Testament.
Are those really antennas on there, or they just look like antennas?
No, that's the antennas for, to protect.
Lightning rods. Okay. Yeah, because there was no TV in there, he said.
Those are the Swiss soldiers, and that's the entrance to the Vatican territory. So those are the boundaries. The colonnade, and then as we met those once again the walls. The same walls we went and we met at the very beginning, no? We said because it's a circle. Okay, listen, Sarah is here. Well, you often enjoy the day.
Traveling, what's it called? Straight up. No. It's not the Strait of Magellan. That's South America. Or Africa. This is the Strait of... No.
Strait where Sicily is. Sicilian Strait.
It's between Sicily and Italy. And I think this is the mainland side. On the other side we saw an active volcano, Stromboli. Stromboli sounds like a meal. So zoom in a little bit of Italy. Yesterday I had a major screw up with the camera, and all my little files are question marks. I don't know if I can unquestion mark them. Yes. I don't know if you... To go through the strait between Sicily and Italy, we had to have a pilot. Yeah, it's getting close up here. I guess we just climbed the board, didn't it?
So should we go like up and out like we did for the
That's Sicily. Hey, Tasha. Tasha's taking pictures of Sicily. And that's the big peak is an active volcano called Etna. No, with the E. E-T. Oh, that's Stromboli. You still see it? Where is it? Okay, it's straight this way. Well, I can't see it through the viewfinder, but it's there. Okay, and here's the mainland of Italia. Got scars. It's gonna be a tough view over here with the sun. I try not to break my neck. Just talking to myself and narrating. Look at those beams. What is that? A highway through the mountains? Wow. It's cool. Zoom in on that. That black cloud over there. It's pretty. Just had a jogger by me and say, "Come on." Did he want me to run with him? Is that what he said there? Yeah, I think so. That's it. Yeah, gotta get that picture. Gotta get this picture. Huh? Like you're playing with that. This is really offering information. That's why it's got the light and the transponder attached to it. And all I'm going to hear is wind.
So where y'all from? So here we are talking about extortion.
In Sicily.
Oh, Sicily.
Yeah. Yeah, they're probably the experts of the wet contract. Finagled.
It's fun stuff.
Yeah, actually.
Every state's different. Nevada's is really weird.
In New York, there's
I guess that's the strait we just went through. On the right, you see Italy, and on the left, you see Sicily. It's kind of rhymes. So there's the end of the boot, right? Is it? Yeah, I guess so.
It's kind of hard to see when you're on top of it.
Is that the end of the boot?
I think so, but
Yeah.
what end of it? Is it the heel or the toe?
I think we're like in between, aren't we? I'll have to look at a map. The map that I made them redo 3 times. Got geniuses aboard the ship, that's for sure. Come on, come on, come on. He was turning around.
Can you turn around?
Yeah. Come on. Zoom in on that. Hold still.
Hold still. Yeah.
for these. Huh? Dark probably is here. Huh? Oh, I wanted to get you in the video too.
Go, I'm looking for bears. What was that naturalist said to her? You can't just order up some.
Because we're the otters. I can't just dial up some otters.
Come over here. Bring it over here.
Wow. That's the toe you said? Oh, I shouldn't slide back just a second. Yeah, you get a little bit more.
It's so pretty, isn't it?
That's where we is. That's Greece.
Piers for the cruise ships, no? And Dionysus is going to take us round. We'll see some other piers for cruise ships and then ferries. I've heard that Athens is the only port, Piraeus and Athens are the only Greek towns that you'll visit. You won't visit other areas. So Athens is the capital, Piraeus is the port. We have around 4 million people, Piraeus and Athens. In total, we are 12 million Greeks who live in Greece, plus 7 million Greeks who live far from Greece.
Orange trees right on the side of the road?
Neransia.
Holy moly, I've never seen such a thing.
And we live normally.
That's the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
The peaceful ones that protest against the police pick up a fruit and throw it against the police shield. The ones that are peaceful, the other ones have lacrigen, I don't know the word in English.
Yeah, bombs. Molotov cocktail.
Bombs that create tears. Tears, yes. Not the Molotov cocktails are for very special groups. The anarchists. So anyhow, we are in Piraeus, no? I've mentioned before that we have 4 million people in Piraeus and Athens. Too many for that area.
Yeah, too many.
And as we'll drive, we'll see from a distance the Acropolis. So I'll give you the program as we have time now that the road is blocked. We'll go straight to the city. We'll visit the Panathinaik Stadium, the big stadium where the first Olympics of our era were held. And then we'll visit the Acropolis. We'll visit the monuments. The Acropolis is the name of the hill, no? Polis. You have the word polis. Politics, a politician. Polis is the Greek word for city. So imagine in the ancient times, I'm talking about 3,000 years ago, no? Early in the first millennium before the birth of Christ, tribes who lived round this hill, all north, on that hill,
Man, I thought we had traffic. I thought Atlanta was bad. Damn. This is like, I bet it's like this all the time. Look at this car. Oh God, he ain't gonna make it. He's trying to get through this guy. Oh God, he's not gonna make it. This guy, this lady, she's trying to get through. She's not gonna make it. She is not gonna make it.
Oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. Look, even they're looking at her like
she's not gonna make it. It ain't gonna work, lady.
Zea Sport, huh? Zea. Zoo Sport. Zea. If you look at the drivers, they have their breakfast. Coffee, huh? Yes. They need time, huh?
Oh my gosh. That's...
Of course, take it. Okay, let's go.
Let's go.
She's telling him how to drive. Oh.
We got pizza chocolate, we got that other chocolate.
Oh my God, this guy, look, he's cussing at us. He's pissed.
Okay, so this marina now, with the small vessels, sailing boats, motor sailors, small yachts, is called Zeas, Zeus, Zea.
This one?
We have from Piraeus to Sunion, which is 72 kilometers further east, 83 small ports and marinas. And along the way, small beaches.
It's pretty schmucky.
We'll see a lot on the way. I don't know if you remember how the Greek flag is.
No, we're not in Athens yet.
There, yes. Blue, white and blue, no? Imagine a white background, color, northern part of Athens. So take a look. All these small ports, no? The stadiums that were built for the Olympics. If you look carefully, right behind this stadium, on top of the hill, is the Parthenon. All the way up, if you draw a line on the right, you'll see 3 hills. The lowest hill is crowned by, behind that stadium, no? Is crowned by the Parthenon. I don't know if you can see the monument. Like there, no? The Acropolis is there. From the Acropolis we'll be able to see Piraeus and the stadiums. Big gold and ivory statue. This style is called Corinthian. Take a look at the capitals. The capitals are nicely sculpted with acanthus leaves. You'll go to Turkey, and Ephesus is an area where most of the monuments were built in this hill, fortified. This is
Where's the from?
the Parthenon was the biggest temple.
Oh, wow, yeah, wow.
The center erected in honor of Athens.
Wow.
5th century BC, 447 BC, they started.
Stadium for the first modern Olympics, 18 something, right? First modern Olympics in 1800 and something. We've seen a lot of old Olympics, like in Oslo we saw.
Right.
Tasha, why don't you stand right over here and I'll get you a picture. Huh? Take one of me since you got the camera first. It's old, isn't it? Stand right there. What's wrong? Am I in a daze? Let's do a digital zoom. Got to hold real still, don't you? Everybody getting nauseous. It's the Parthenon. And there's the Parthenon lady. Where is she? There she is. So you can see the proximity. It's way up there on a mountain. That's a great dog. Let's go back and try to find it. Okay, let's get back on the bus. Let's get back on the bus. Natasha.
Minutes for the tickets, and you can use the bathrooms. We'll visit the monuments. We'll spend an hour and a half up there, and then back to the bus. Here on the right we have our national gardens with some nice old buildings. Our national gardens. All these buses are here because their groups are on the Acropolis, huh? So they came to park here. This is Zapion, a very old building that was built for the athletes of the first Olympics. On the left, again the columns that still stand of the ancient temple of Zeus. This is the part of the temple that still stands. The roof collapsed. The statue is in the museum.
Wow.
We'll be able to get it from up there. You know?
We're going to get a good picture of it.
Was erected in honor of Adrian, a very known Roman emperor who
This one right here.
was a benefactor of Athens.
Look at all the birds on this thing,
Temples
Tasha.
and libraries.
Wait.
Tell me when.
Okay, ready?
On the right,
All right. Now.
here where the other bus will stop starts the road that leads to the Acropolis, but our driver is going to take us the closest possible. No, this is the pedestrian road.
Look at those columns that are falling down.
Of the museum into the Acropolis. But our driver is going to get us the closest possible. We'll come back, huh? We'll come back and we'll pass from here for the pictures. So I would like to have your attention now that we are together and I have the microphone. As we are 40 persons, so sometimes my voice cannot cover the whole group when it's crowded. Dionysus, our driver, is going to get us at the parking, the closest parking to the Acropolis. He'll stop at the parking, we'll disembark. Even if we don't want to visit the monuments, we have to leave the coach because he's going to leave the area, no? And he'll come to pick us up. You can leave stuff on the bus, avoid the street vendors. It's your responsibility. If you want to deal and bargain and buy, you have time in Plaka. Plaka is an area where you have a lot of street vendors and shops and art galleries.
Stand there, Stephen.
So it was a cult area, but it was used at the same time as a fortress. In case of war, old people that couldn't walk could find a safe place there. The arches that we see are arches of a facade of an ancient theater. So getting up there, we'll see the amphitheater, and this area here was the area of Dionysus, the god of wine, no? You have the word two, but in French is deux. Dos en español, no? It means that the god was born Dio, twice, Dionysos. This god had a female persona and a male. Huh? He was the god. When we have statues of him, we cannot understand if he's a man or a woman. No sex, no? No, well, as we have two elements, no? The female and the male. We have happiness, alegria, sadness. Two personas within the same figure. Huh? He was born twice. One woman gave birth to him and one man. It's a long story, a legend.
That's what they're trying
but
to get
he
at.
was the god for the Greeks of happiness and sadness. And hence we have to find a balance, a secret harmony in between opposite elements within ourselves. He was the god who inspired that. And poets
Look how far up
wrote
that
poetry
is.
and tragedies in honor of him, and the first theaters that were ever built in the world were here. As the Athenians had a very open society and accepted the cult of him, where other cities denied him, because he was the god who inspired, but at the same time, when we lose the measure, the meter, drunk, we do things that we regret, isn't it? So he was the god of measure. So this area was the area of him. That's why theaters and odeons were built up, and we call the street Dionysus Street. On your own, coming down, you can get closer to the arches. I'll show you the path to take your pictures, or we'll take them on the way up. Clear? Let's go.
Let's go. Same time.
No, I know, but did you see what?
So our group is coming, I saw them.
During summer, let's say, it's almost every 2 days something happening.
Marble. It was decided to cover the ancient marble with new, as we use it every summer. Since 1955, we use it May to September, and a known festival is held here, the Athenian Festival. All the artists that you know, known artists, come to give a performance and has a seating capacity of 5,000 people, and stands in between the hill with the nice monument of the philosopher and the Acropolis. So, I don't know where the others are. I will continue because we set up here, isn't it? Let's proceed.
Man, this looked like it was so high. It is, isn't it? Just look for 11s. One hell of a view. There she is. what happened.
So are people 11? Oh, you that you are here, I don't know where the others are. So the Acropolis was a cult area. I was asked what they were doing here. It was an open cult area. They used to come from Piraeus, from other villages, from this temple that you'll see on our way up, that was, oh, Venetia, that was the market temple. Market, the Agora, they had workshops. We are going to visit Plaka. And you'll have free time for shopping, for lunch, whatever. Traditionally, the area of Plaka was in the ancient times the area of workshops. Clay, jars, jewelry, sandals, whatever they had was made in that area. No? Of course, we have family units, no? And they used to work, but the city's workshops were there. And the temple that we see on the way up and on the road is like the Parthenon. It's a very big temple, the best preserved of the ancient world, and was dedicated to the god of fire. You know the name, the Roman name of the god, no? Volcano. Yeah? So volcano, fire. Huh? Why? Because they needed fire to melt bronze, iron, gold, silver, no? So this god, there they are, the ladies who went to the bathroom. So, you have a photo here, the photo of a small temple under restoration. You have the word Nike, no? Right, Nike. The Greek word is Nike. We don't pronounce I, we pronounce E, no? So Nike is the victory. Huh? The Greek word for victory is Nike. Her temple was built right at the entrance of the cult area. Victory's temple, no? Athena was worshipped as a victory, but her statue was found and was wingless. No wings, huh? Probably they were afraid that she might fly away, so they wanted her in the city. But round the temple, all the figures that were found, now in the museum, depicted winged victories. You know that a lot of Greek statues are all over the world, no?
See?
In Louvre, in British Museum, the victories have wings. Is what the angel is for the Christians. The angel that comes down with heaven, in the heaven, the same victory, no? So Victory's temple, a small ionic marble temple, stood on a tower, no? Why the tower? This Acropolis has temples of the 5th century BC, 2,500 years ago, that were built after the wars against the Persians. The Persians from Iran came through Asia Minor, Turkey now, conquered some Greek islands, and at Marathon they were defeated. That's why they raised, no? An Athenian soldier came running to announce the victory. The Persians came in Athens later, burned, destroyed, and they were defeated at Salamis. Battles, no? That were held in the old days. Known battles for the historians. After all these battles, these temples were built to honor the goddess who helped them to win, no? But they were built on previous ruins of previous temples. Small, no? Right here, we have a tower, you saw coming up, that was in the very old days a bastion, a tower, to control the entrance to the Acropolis. That was an area where people could feel safe, no, in case of war. Imagine the warriors now, they hold their, revolver, all in those days, swords, on that, and the shield covered that part of the body, no? So if the enemy wanted to go up there and conquer the center, this part was undefended, no? Right. That's why the tower, all the ancient cities in Greece have towers at that side. And as the tower was there, the spot was limited and they built a small temple. Okay, so Athena, Nike, victory. Marble with victories in the museum. go up. We'll pass from columns and part of the roof under restoration, the main entrance. Just an entrance. But a lot of small buildings combined a monumental entrance. It was difficult for the architects 2,500 years ago to level the ground and build small buildings and have a result, an harmonious result. So these rooms were rooms where people used to sit, and they could come from Piraeus, from Sunion. They could sit and relax. I don't know the word in English. This lounge, in marble, where they could sit and see paintings. It was a place where they could relax and offer idols. And then the Parthenon to honor the goddess, and the other temple of the girls, of the Caryatids. Two other big temples, a monumental entrance, and that temple. The Acropolis remained a cult area from the 5th BC till the 5th AD. It was transformed in a fortress with churches, occupied by the Franks, by the Catalans, by the Venetians, and Turks. We'll talk about this story. So let's...
Oh, gee, look at this. Wow.
You can see the parts that are of red, the yellowish parts. It was the only building that had a marble ceiling. The marble parts, no?
Marble
This small caisson, this small stones.
Wow, look at them. Oh, see those pieces, the marble pieces? Huh? It says don't touch, because it probably wear out after all the people. Oh my gosh, look at this. Of course not. Wow. They're trying to restore a lot of it, aren't they, Tasha?
Let's stop for a minute and we have people coming out. The model, the column of the model that we have in the museum. I want to wait, huh? The Parthenon is that temple there. And there are spots where we don't have scaffolding and you can take your pictures. Yeah. The entrance, the palace of the knights was there. Stories. Throughout the years, travelers, known travelers, left drawings and information. And we have a lot of drawings of the late 14th and 15th Byzantine Renaissance period in Vatican, in Paris. So the models that are made are based on the information of those travelers. And much later, 16th, 17th, 18th, it was a la mode, no? A lot of intellectuals supported expeditions in Greece, Turkey, Egypt for the culture. So we have information. As these areas suffered a lot from wars, imagine gunpowder in the temples, explosions, thunderbolts, fires. So what we have now, and they are trying to put back the pieces, is the result of these adventures, no? So the entrance, see how complicated is that model? You have one small room here, a bigger one there. I mean, terraces, no? And it was built in 5 years by known architects. We know their names because we have in our museums lists of names. The writing of that time is the same. I had classical studies. A kid, 8 years old, can understand, no? Because it's the same. More than 50% of the words are the same. So, this is the Doric order, no? Simple, masculine, Doric. The Parthenon was built in Doric, and the other temple of the girls in Ionic, and the small temple of Athena. Two other orders here, Ionic, Feminine, Doric, strict. The Corinthian was used much later, and you see it never. marble. For the first time, all these buildings were made of marble. That comes from the mountain, not that far. They were skilled in building in marble. Huh? They could transport the stones. Every drum of a column, no, weighs 4 stones here, 6 on the bottom. So imagine wooden sledges, and oxen carrying that marble at the entrance of a ramp. They had ramps. Pulleys were used to transport the marble, and cranes. I don't know if you saw some stones. I won't keep you too long, 2 minutes. The stones that were lifted up there were not worked before. They had, how can I call, edges. Like, they had to transport them with ropes, no? And then they used to cut that and sculpt it. At the entrance, and you'll see that at the exit, we have walls that have all these. Okay, because this building remained unfinished. A war started, Athenians, Spartans, and allies, and the building remained unfinished. And so we can see how the stones were lifted up. The Parthenon is a temple that doesn't have a single straight line. All the columns are going inwards. We'll see that getting closer. And if we extend them, they'll form a pyramid. They did that probably to correct our optical illusion and create a secret harmony. If the columns would be straight, we would see that, as we have a lot of columns, no? No straight line, no vertical line, no horizontal curves. The whole temple, and it was discovered by a British architect 160 years ago, has refinements, no? It's not a simple building. The city becomes the capital. So, for some years, we were under the Ottoman Turks, and they sold the statues. The frieze that is in the British Museum, a very famous frieze that is 140 meters long and has figures, stood on the corridor of the inside part. No? So, getting closer, you can see the replica, the part that is having on the inside figures and on that of institutions and democracy. There. So if you want, you can follow me around, and on your own you'll get there and down to. I'll show you. It's up to you if you want to follow me or not.
There's 700 and something symbols around. There's Natasha. Yeah, it's kind of slippery in it.
Here, stay right there, Steven.
Wow, look at that.
Put that down.
Put that down. Get me in there?
Yeah, hold on.
Hello. Hey, kitty. Hello, Patikin. Come here. Oh, you're cute. What a face. What a face.
We have so many.
Yeah. Tatikin up here, the Greek god. Wow, look at this one. Wow. Those columns are original, huh? Don't pick up the rock.
Here comes the rain.
Don't pick up the rock. This side ain't so hot because they're redoing it. Look at the columns, how they're redoing them. I guess that is good to redo it. It kind of a way, it's a shame, but they're going to get it put back together, aren't they, Tasha? Hey, Tasha, they're going to put the roof back on? This is going to be amazing to keep track of this over the years. Because look how they're filling in the spots in these columns. They really do a good job at the...
You'll find in Prague a lot of nice shops. You have, I saw someone holding a leaflet, yeah, recommended stores. I don't know the recommended stores because every agency has other recommended stores. But you'll find them on your own. The streets are known, Metropolios, Adrianou, Pandrosso. We bargain, people bargain in Greece, but not as in Turkey. Turks have a very different approach and mentality. They are merchants, and we are not. No? I mean, they start offering you tea, put the carpet down, close the doors, and you are tempted to buy, and they make good discount. No, we are not like that. No? But of course, you can have a discount. And now that we are off season, and winter is coming, and it will be difficult because our country is in the European Union, no? But the deficit is very high, no? And we say that we already bankrupt, huh? So prices will be lower, right?
Ask for money from us.
Be careful, it's safe, you pay with your cards, but see what you sign, no? Sometimes.
Hey, Natasha. This is, whatever street. I don't know what it's called. No, thank you. I don't need an umbrella. Stupid ass. Whoa, those are like nice magnets. Man, it's Tchotchke Avenue. What is this down here? Oh my God, it's a bunch of tchotchkes. Street tchotchkes. The further down you go, the more you can bargain. Hey, look at this little square. Oh my gosh. Oh my God, it goes forever. Look, flea market, Tasha. Maybe, where is the flea market? Are we going to remember? We'll remember.
Well, remember, we got to come down this where it says yes, all artwork.
Tchotchkes and more tchotchkes. What the hell is all that? Where's Tasha? You want to get a t-shirt? Look at that one. Hey, hey. Is that Kitty's? How much?
But it doesn't have anything about it.
It's not. That's because it's a fashion thing. Look at that store.
You want to go over there? You ready?
Yeah. Goodness. Oh yeah. Hey.
They brought us 2 orders. I said, no, just 1. So make sure on our bill there's only 1.
Oh.
Yeah, she's right.
Who makes $1,200?
The bus driver and the tour guide. She said they make. For dinner, I'll eat a Greek salad on the ship.
You ought to see that meat. It's like at an angle, you can't see it.
That's how it was in Germany, on the side of the street.
I mean, it's a monster piece though. It's like, but it's bigger than you'd expect, you know? I guess they're cutting through.
Eating these French fries?
Am I eating them? Yeah. Don't eat them all. You got to get a picture of this. We're like next to a thing. It's like raining right there. Church bells dinging. That's a 4 o'clock sign. Like we're worried about eating in 30 minutes. Put it down in 30 seconds, it'll be gone. Should have gotten a Greek beer. You want one? No? Are those good?
Yeah, I'll send you some.
You'll send me some, thank you.
I like the little one.
Okay. Here's the narration. December 13th. We're in Gobble Gobble Land. This is Turkey.
Here, stand there, Turkey. Let me take a picture of you.
Hang on. Hang on 1 second.
Turn around, Turkey.
Hang on. Whoa, I'm stepping in water. Jesus. Hang on. Okay, so again, we're coming into Izmir, Turkey. Sure is nice to see so many places in the world. I'm very lucky. It's like a nice built-up place. What are they doing, huh? And they got the masks on. What is she giving? Tasha, little eye. Give a little tip.
Then the healing center
We're in
of
Turkey,
the same city,
Izmir.
And on the way back, they'll have a stop for refreshments in a carpet viewing center.
So far, it looks cleaner than Athens.
Well, you're supposed to be back at around 3 o'clock.
Wow.
But this is the Turkish punctuality. Let's see, yes. That was made the plan to get back at around 3 o'clock, assuming that we'll be leaving at 8:30. So we're already delayed at the beginning for almost 10 minutes. So I hope that we'll be back at around 3:30. 4 better? Okay, you have time until 4:15, 4:30 even. Oh no, you should be back on the ship before 4:30. A 4:15 would be better, they said. And welcome to Izmir, by the way. One of the most boring cities in Turkey. Yeah, it's true. Many Turks call this the largest village in the country. It's the 3rd biggest city with 3 million living in it. But really, for touristic purposes, it's not very interesting. Interesting is what it's got around itself in its province. This is the capital of the province, the city itself. But inside this province, you have, let's say, places like Ephesus, Pergamon. These are the more interesting parts of the province. But the city itself, well, it's got a reputation for the beauty of its females, for example. Very good place to visit for couples. You never know.
2 down. 2 kills.
It's got a big commercial port.
Look, they're mating the dogs.
So for businessmen, it's important. It's in the middle of cotton fields, so textile industry. But for touristic reasons, the city itself really doesn't have too much to offer. Well, luckily we don't have to do anything in the town. so you won't see much of it. The same way we go now, we'll be coming back, so whatever you see on the way, you're going to see once more on the way back. So about the city, I will leave that more for the way back. The little that you might need to learn about it, you will be hearing on the way back. But Pergamon, because especially on a cold day like today, hopefully dry, but it might also start raining there. The weather forecast was showing rain for today for Pergamon too, but what part of the rainy part that we don't know yet. So hopefully not. There is few houses in Turkey. Let me see your hands. So okay, those of you who visited Ephesus, remember it was a complete city. You most probably started at the upper gate. So the first half an hour would be the part that you'll be spending in the holy royal part of the town, or in the Acropolis section, full of temples. And then the bigger part of your time, at least 1 hour or more, you will have spent in the downtown area, in the residential part. Houses, shops, library, marketplaces. In Pergamon, we have only the Acropolis. So the residential part is still being inhabited by my people. The Turkish name of the place is Bergama, and we still have there about as many people living in the town as they were living in the Roman times. So that's the reason why you end up having only the Acropolis as the open air museum Pergamon. So what we're going to see will be the holy royal part of the town, the temples, the rulers' residences, their palaces, and the houses and the whole rest, the bigger part of the city is still a city inhabited by the Turks. 80,000 people, more or less, still live there. Until about the 4th century BC, Pergamon was just another town in Anatolia. By the way, Anatolia...
I got this red bridge.
Well, I'm sure you have seen the country Turkey several times on maps, so try to remember. It has a rectangular shape. The envelopes that you have there, you might have again maps showing you the country. Important because it's one of the last stops on the way to the bigger harbors of the ancient world as well. So many caravans, imagine, merchants, with their products, goods that they want to sell or that they might have bought on the way to or back, will be making stops in that town. So they will also be buying and selling in the town itself, turning this town into a busy commercial center. But in the 4th century BC, something important happens. Alexander the Great, you all know him. Not personal, of course. Looks a lot like Brad Pitt. Was it Angelina Jolie, the mother? Yeah. He came along, conquering many different cities and towns, including Pergamon. But then he died. At the age of 33, he said to have died, so he didn't have much time to enjoy what he has taken from so many others. I'm talking more about the treasury. Imagine how many kings and queens he has fought and taken all of them, the treasuries. So he had an interesting collection. They talk about 9,000 talents of gold and silver. Talent at that time would be a measure of weight, corresponding to somewhere between 24 to 33 kilograms. So almost 50-60 pounds. So taking the lower limit, just 24 kilograms times 9,000, you end up getting over 200 tons of gold and silver. That's a lot of money. If you would turn it into euro or dollar, American, Canadian, whatever, you would have so many zeros on the right side that it would be hard to most of us to imagine what you could do with all this money. One of the most interesting and popular examples used in Turkey is
Where'd all the gold go?
what they say about this money. It would be enough to buy you all of Izmir. Imagine 3 millions live in Izmir. With this money you could buy all of the town. So much money. And in Izmir, well, 3 millions, assuming that the Turkish family will have on average about 5 members. 2,700 years
The richest
ago,
guy in the world in the 6th century BC lived near here.
This part of the world.
Doesn't look like it now.
The Lydian people invented money, gold coins. They were using in the 7th century BC already. Until then, and even for centuries after that, many people will only have barter trade, exchange of goods and products, services, no money. So since at least 2,700 years now we have money, or have to have. Paper money is something quite recent, even more so the credit cards, but coins are quite ancient, 2,700 years. 6th century BC, the king of the Lydian people built the temple of Artemis in Ephesus. So he was the richest man in the whole world. What was his name? Does anybody remember? Richest man on earth. So,
Rockefeller.
Midas would be the richest man on earth during his own time.
Al Gore.
But he was a few centuries before the Lydians' invention of money. So he had a lot of gold, but no coins yet. No money yet. Midas. He was also from Anatolia, by the way. And where he was living, where he lived and died, is quite close to our new capital, Ankara, about 45-50 miles away from Ankara. And we found a tomb. Yes, now you've got him.
What's his name?
Bill Gates, from 6th century BC.
No, he's not that old.
Used to say in English and in many other European languages like French or German or Spanish.
He's serious.
Richest Croesus. When someone is very rich, you say that, richest Croesus. Saying that, you might not know who he was and when he lived and why or how he was the richest man on earth. But nevertheless, it's important to see that after so many years, 2,600 years, people still remember that he was the richest.
What's his name?
Croesus. The last king of the Lydians, because at that time there were only 2 superpowers in the whole world, the Lydians in today's Anatolia more or less, and the Persians further to the east and southeast. Just the 2 superpowers I'm talking about. And the biggest river of today's Turkey, in Cappadocia, in central Anatolia, Halis at that time the name, was their common border. Croesus later on attacked the Persians and lost the war and lost everything but his life. So that's why he is the last Lydian king. But the Lydians, I mean, the Persians did not kill them all. Most of them were enslaved, the ones fighting directly against the Persian army. But the rest of the people were just assimilated. After the Persians, lots of Greeks arrived here. It was a passage for many people doing business, all sorts of directions. So this is a place where people have been mixing with each other since thousands of years. Not only Turkey or Anatolia, but the surrounding countries. You go to Iran, you go to Greece, you come to Turkey and you find out that all those different peoples look similar. Let's say take 100 Iranians, 100 Turks and 100 Greeks, as long as they keep their mouth shut, and if you give them the same clothes more or less, you will not be able to tell who is who. Because it's the same mixture more or less, but the soul being different, the culture, the mentality, the way of life, the way they think and believe. Of course, religion and language, they also make differences, but the body, the face, skin color, eyes, hair, that is quite similar. Or another example, we have had 36 sultans in the last 700 years, the Ottoman imperial times, until the foundation of the Republic. 36 sultans. 2 only are said to have had Turkish mothers. 34 out of 36 were born to non-Turkish women. So how much Turkish will be left in the last reigning sultan?
That's interesting.
2 out of 36. Or another example, about 130,000 Turks seem to have arrived in Anatolia about 1,000 years ago. Now we have 75 millions. So out of 130,000 we made 75 millions. That's the dilution, just to imagine. But again, the customs, traditions have survived. The language, although it has taken a lot of words from many different languages. So the majority of the people living here still feel themselves as Turks. But real Turks coming from Far East, they feel strange when they come to Turkey, because those Turks do not look like them. To see what a real Turk looks like, you need to leave Turkey through the eastern border and go towards China. The closer you come to China, the more authentic and more Turkish they will look. Because we are related to the Japanese, to the Mongolian, and to the Koreans.
Really?
The language as well. A Japanese person coming to Istanbul needs only 1 month to start to communicate with us in Turkish. 3 months, he almost becomes perfect, or she. It's so easy to learn for them, the language, I mean, because it's quite similar, the same grammar, and about 2,000 words that we still have in common after so many thousands of years separation. And of course we do not look like the Japanese people anymore, so therefore it would be maybe difficult for you to believe in it, but it's the truth. You go, for example, to the next Turkish country outside Turkey, Azerbaijan, the eyes grow slightly smaller, almond-shaped eyes. Go further to the east, you come to countries like Turkmenistan, like Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan. Those are all countries where Turkish people live. And the further to the east you go, the smaller the eyes grow. In Mongolia, you have lots of Turks. In China, you have them. It would be difficult for us to see who is of Turkish origin and who is a normal Chinese. Whatever it would be a normal Chinese, I don't know. But there are lots of them still in the Far East. So the Turks have their origin in the East, Far East. But the ones living in Turkey are the most mixed or least authentic Turks. That's it. Those who have been to Ephesus might remember there were some watch sellers, small shops, where they had advertisements for their watch saying genuine fake watches. Genuine fake Turks in Turkey. That's it. Mixed with all sorts of different people living around this part of the world or passing through here. You still go on mixing. I mean, some of the tourists who come to Turkey just for a vacation stay here forever, getting married to some native people, or take them back home and, well, this time I don't know. Maybe the Turkish person will become something else for the next generations in a different country, but the mixture still goes on. Anyway, let's turn back to Lysimachos. So he builds the town Ephesus, but the town that he got, I mean Ephesus, it had already lost its harbor. It was full of alluvium, so he had to build a new harbor a bit further away, and he wanted to have the center of the town around his new harbor, so he had to attract the people to the new town. So the ones who visited Ephesus last year, or maybe earlier than that, you have seen the city of Lysimachos, the new Ephesus. The older two towns would be a bit further to the north, which are not excavated yet, so we don't have anything to see from the earlier towns. While he's building the city, including the city walls, he wants to have a safe place where he can keep the treasury of Alexander the Great, because, you know, the other generals, they also want to have at least some share, but he doesn't want to give anything to anybody, so he has to be able to defend it against all sorts of others, and he needs a safe place. The safest place in all of his share was the interior of the Acropolis of Pergamon. you will understand it better why when we get there. The thickness of the walls, especially on the less steep parts, is amazing. Thinking that this is the 4th century BC, about as thick as our bus. Now think of the heaviest weapon of these days when they would like to attack a city, to conquer it. They would have catapults, we call it, throwing stones. The biggest ones would be about as big as a human hand. If the walls are that thick, those stones will not do any serious harm. You could... places I'll be right, statistically speaking.
87% of hazelnuts.
87% of all the hazelnuts of the world are being produced in that same part of Turkey by the same people. They have a lot of cornfields. Almost all of what we consume in Turkey comes from that part. And almost all of our jokes, we tell them about those people. The famous people in Turkey seem to be living in that same part. And believe me, even today you will see a lot of blonde people or red-haired ones there with blue or green eyes. So those Galatians, they did not disappear, they just went on mixing with the rest. The rest would be Greek, Armenian, Georgian, and the latest element added to the mixture would be Turkish. And you have seen the movie Asterix and Obelix, maybe you even read the comics. Then you see that they all have hawk's noses, the gowls. Asterix and Obelix. You didn't see it?
No.
You saw it. Okay. You remember the names of the actors who played Asterix, who played Obelix? Obelix was the more famous one. The French actor with the big nose. Gérard Depardieu, exactly, that's him who played Obelix. He has a big nose anyway, but even that big nose of him needed some addition to make a real guy of him, because the guys were known to have be blonde or red-haired people with blue eyes and big hooked noses. And now one more thing, the living man on earth with the biggest nose is in that part of Turkey, to the Black Sea region.
Jimmy Durante?
Is in the Guinness Book of World Records. So you write, next time you are in the internet, you can write in Google, for example, biggest nose living man, you will find him. 8.6 centimeters. That would be more than 5 inches. This is the nose that the guy has got.
Jimmy Durante.
Shark. And ever since he was discovered, he doesn't have to work anymore. Making fortunes on his website, and the internet. He's got a website now.
You're kidding me.
Ads.
You're kidding me.
And when he was discovered, well, apart from the nose, he was just a normal, ordinary Turkish man. Now he's got a large mustache under the nose that can keep up with the size of the nose. And he said about it that one needs to underline important things. So the gowls are still there. I mean, the ones who were living in Anatolia nowadays. And also, statistically speaking, again, most of the plastic surgeries, nose surgeries, are still being made in that part of Turkey. Especially the ladies are not so happy about the big noses that they have, so they want to have them smaller. But not only them. So that's where they ended. And after this big victory, not even the Romans were believing in a victory, so they did not dare start a war against them. But Eumenes II, he makes it, and he also has a victory at the end. The temple of Zeus, well, better, it's just an altar actually, that he built after that, what is now in Germany, in Berlin. They built especially for this separate museum. Think of the 7 world wonders. Until the 4th century, they had different lists circulating. In the 4th century BC, they finally settled on the 7 that we still know. But every now and then, people would offer to include the altar of Zeus in Pergamon also in that list of 7. Right? It was such a big monument of such a beauty. And on one side, on the main side, on the front side of this temple, you have a group of reliefs showing us the war between the Titans and the gods. The gods being the side of the good, and the others being the evil. The evil here is symbolically the Gauls, the Galatians, against whom they fought. In that case, of course, the gods, the good side, these are the pagan people, and most probably the face of Zeus on that altar was the face of Humanus himself. So he wanted to show his victory in a different light, because it would be controlled regularly that every household would have enough water for them in case of an attack. Several weeks they would be able to live on that. They had, apart from that, also bigger public cisterns.
Yeah, but it's there.
The houses were, in that case, independent.
See it good with our polarized glasses. Maybe put the polarized glasses up.
So, how they built those water pipes, bringing the water from a distance of almost 40 kilometers, is still a mystery to us, because on top of the hill where they were living, there is no water source. So you have to bring it from elsewhere. And the nearest source where you have enough water, and the other thing again, in order to have the remains of the Asclepian,
you see the whole rainbow here.
Seems to have
It's faint, but I can
sort
see
of a
it.
medical center where people were being treated.
Yeah, let's go to the end of that thing.
The healing water, the source, supplies the whole facility with the healing water. That still gives some water, so for those who might like to try, you can taste this water. It's drinkable water. But with opposite, it is a theatre, not an amphitheatre, right? So this is a theatre, not an amphitheatre. But this is the steepest
in the world.
Among the Greek theatres of the whole world, there is nothing very steep. You will see it when you get there. So that's the picture of the theatre. But you see here, at the back of the tickets, you have a barcode. Can you see it all there? Arrows showing you. And at the entrance there will be turnstiles. So to get through, you will take the ticket in your hands so that the barcode will be on top. And please, on the right side of the turnstile, on your right side, you will have the slot to put the ticket into. So then, the barcode on top, in the direction of the arrows, you push the ticket into the slot. When all of it is inside, almost, you'll get a stamp on it, cancelling the ticket. The screen will change from red to yellow on the turnstile, and the human voice recorded will say, "Please pass," in Turkish and English. So then, you need to take back the cancelled ticket, and with the cancelled ticket in your hand, is poisoned, most probably bitten by a snake or scorpion or whatever else poisonous. And one can see his death written in his eyes. For him it's already too late. At least that's what it seems like to the people at the entrance. So when he wants to get in as well, they say to him, "No, that has no entry, you, that man walking, no more." For somebody who will be refused at the gate, this is in general like a death sentence. I mean, if you're not taken, then most probably you're going to die. This guy is suffering heavily, maybe more mental than physically, but the fear of a painful death that might last long is so big that he wants to die faster, so he wants to commit suicide. And seeing some snakes around the healing center drinking milk out of some pots, most probably the priests, some of them were feeding the snakes. I don't know whether you know it. Some snakes, not all of them maybe, but some do like a lot milk. Cow's milk, they drink. Anyway, so this guy now, seeing the snakes, he wants them to bite him, that he will die faster, that he won't have to suffer too much. He goes to them, but the snakes are afraid of him So before he can reach any of them, they are away, disappear. So then he says to himself, maybe if I drink the milk out of which they were drinking, some poison might be left in their milk. That also might help. So drinking the milk instead of dying faster, he recovers. This is the first time that they start using after this event poison against poison in small amounts. People seeing him a few days later in much better conditions ask him how come, what happened, what he did special maybe, and nothing other than drinking the milk. So he's taken now in because he is already safe now. One can see that he will not die. And after some conversation with him, the doctors inside try that on other people who are poisoned. Small amounts of poison against poison, and they see that it works. So this is what I mean, experimentation. After that they start experimenting with other things as well as medicine. Until then it was rather conservative. But they learned from the tobacco in Turkey and started
I get a little bit nauseous.
looking for alternatives to tobacco, and cotton is a very good alternative if you have the will to it.
Oh my God! Right on the freaking edge. Oh shit!
You know maybe what okra is?
Oh my God! Gosh.
One of the few places where people like to eat that plant is this place because they have a lot of them in the summer.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Many fields will have okra on them. Okra, as you know, is something that not everybody will like. It takes a lot of time to get used to it. It's an acquired taste, but those who are used to it, they love it. It's an interesting plant. It's delicious. Interesting vegetable. And people living here, they grow up with it, so they love it. But somebody who comes from a different place where they don't eat okra, I guess at least the first time that they'll try, they will maybe not like the taste. Feels a bit spongy. Yep.
It's delicious.
Okra. The French, they like it too. The reddish building to the left side, you see the ruins, I mean, the big one. You will see it again on the way down here, on the way back. It was a temple built in the Roman times, all out of baked clay, bricks, but marble coated. Outside and inside on the walls, they would have marble plates, on the floor marble, so it would look rather white in the ancient times. The marble falling off the walls, it left the walls naked, so that you see the material inside, the bricks, the white bricks. All in front of you, to the left side, you might have seen some remains from the old water supply system, looking like remains of old bridges, but they were actually just used to overbridge smaller and, the different valleys in between the Acropolis Hill and the other hills. In front of it on the left side there are some somewhere you will see when we're up on the hill. Go to the left side, you see where you have the last houses on the left side, perpendicular to the bus, you have some more of those remains. So on top of those remains of those, you would have the water supply system, the water pipes running around.
Give me your shoulder pain.
Alright, so in order to bring the patients into a better mood, or the Kapore River in Turkish, Bakırçay, the river Caicos, and that river used to pass underneath the reddish temple, the brick temple, which was built by Egyptians and dedicated to the Egyptian goddess Isis. In most of the bigger Roman cities, you had a big group of Egyptian merchants, so it's normal to find some temples dedicated to the Egyptian gods and goddesses. And also synagogues, because some of those Egyptian merchants would be Jewish. So many of the bigger Roman cities would have also synagogues. There we are. Please, Yavaş.
Facing me.
Oh, yeah. The cat. It escaped this time, but don't worry, we'll take care of it.
He almost hit the kitty. Listen,
All right,
I'd rather
now,
kill the
ahead of
kitty
us,
than kill us.
just behind the Turkish flag, you see the turnstiles.
Whoa.
To the left side, you also see the sign WC. So the steps, down the steps, you have the toilets there. On the right-hand side, all the shops offering you books and souvenirs. The blue eyes, you might have seen them also in your envelopes. Well, each envelope should have at least one such tiny blue eye. This is the Turkish talisman, amulet.
Bus driver just about backed up over the cliff. Guy wasn't watching.
No, we have more room than it looks.
Yeah, yeah, more room. I don't want to end up buried in this mess.
Stand right there. Don't. Stand right there.
Stand right here.
Steven, you're at number 8.
Where is it? Oh.
Please come a bit closer to my side. A few steps down. Very soon we'll be inside those walls, but before going in, I want to show you just two things which are also maybe a little bit important, which are outside the walls. On my left side, on your left side also going up, while going uphill, what you have there to the left side, these are the remains of the so-called heroes. That means tombs of very important people, including the tombs of the kings themselves. Because of lack of inscriptions, it doesn't mean that they never had. It's just that those parts were destroyed or lost, not found. So we do not know which one belongs to whom. Surely the 5 kings, the five main kings, known to us, including maybe also number 6, the first one, the commander Placius, they would have had their tomb somewhere here. These are the foundations on the left of those tombs. Of that portrait, that background where the altar of Zeus used to stand. Until 1870s, until the arrival of Karl Kummer, a German engineer who was employed here building the railway, he came back later on for the remains of the ancient city. More than anything else, even asking for it. Nowadays we stopped. We had been promising a model. This is our model. That you could at least see 3-dimensional. That means straight running streets.
Wow, that's really a lot of ruins, isn't it? It's ruins.
And on them, you will have normally 4 standard-sized houses. If it's a more important monument, then it might occupy half of it, or all of it, or several islands. Say a temple might sometimes take 2, 4, or 8 islands, a bigger space. So that street, starting at the entrance, goes until the other side of the city, until it hits on the walls again, on the other side. And to the right side of it, which is the smaller half of the interior, you have one after the other the remains of the palaces. So everything what you have to your right side, to the right side of the street, that goes on with steps all the way uphill, downhill on the other side. To the right side is all the palaces. 5 palaces plus, you see the antenna on the other side. Around them you have the remains of the 6th monument, and then behind you have the walls already.
No,
The
it's just a
6th
shame
monument
of it all.
was most probably the residence of Placius, the commander. His palace. But right after his death, his nephew built himself a new palace. Somewhere on the right side of the street. So one of those other 5 must have been his palace. He didn't use the palace of his uncle. Instead, he turned it into an arsenal to store inside the weapons and ammunition. Athena to the left side. Now you can see those foundations better. Right? Some marble also has been used, especially the columns and the statues, which are missing now, were made out of marble. But be it the pavement of the streets, be it the walls of the palaces and of the other important monuments, they are all made of the same material, which is a local stone of volcanic origin. It's called andesite, and the color, you see some of them are pinkish, some bluish, some brownish, depending on the amount of the minerals and metals that they contain. the color might be different, right? And they still use that same material, that same stone, to construct in the town. Right? In Gargamel today, they still have a lot of it on the mountains around here. Now, here is an example of a cistern.
Oh yeah.
Imagine now a rope around that stone. You still see the traces of the rope. Something like a bucket on one end, and from the other end you would be able to pull out the water from inside. Right? There were lots of cisterns, bigger ones even than this one, all around the city, here and outside the Acropolis.
Look how the rock was done different color. Cool.
Another one, dedicated to the other one as a temple where he is going to be worshipped as a god. Let's stay here for a while. You see now, behind and between the trees, behind those tall white columns, all of white marble, these are the remains of the temple of Trajan, built by Hadrian. The ones who might be of British origin among you will know maybe better. The wall, Hadrian's wall in the United Kingdom. The same Hadrian passed twice through Anatolia, visiting several cities, including Pergamon or Ephesus as well. And this was built most probably during his visit. It might have started, and by the time of the second visit, sure he could have been finished. Dedicated to Trajan, but well, in the middle of it, another pillar, the remains of a column. And most probably, if you should go there, you will see a lot of coins inside the pool. Whenever we find a pool, the Turks, I don't know, maybe other people do it as well, we use it as a wish pool. We make a wish and throw a coin inside, and sort of bribe to the god or to the gods, and hopefully the wish will come true. Here they say you must make it to have your coin land on the pillar in the middle of the pool. That's the reason why I have so many, because it's almost impossible to make it. But every like time you go there, you sometimes see one, sometimes 3 or 4 coins on the pillar, all the rest inside.
So Taco Bell got that.
Just look down there. You are standing on hollow surface. So they built on the rocks at the very bottom walls, empty rooms on empty rooms, until they reached the necessary height, and they covered it all together to get an artificial space that would be resting on the walls. So here the weight of the temple is transferred directly through those walls to the rocks at the bottom. Right? So here they can afford to have a vertical wall on the outer surface, because that doesn't support the weight of the temple. That's just to cover